Hi, I'm Sophie, and I haven't seen a lot of movies.
Hi, I'm Paul, and I'm here to help with that. And we are
SP Film Viewers.
If my calculations are correct, when this episode hits people's ears at 88 miles per hour, they're going to hear some serious shit. Which is not true, because that's not how sound works.
Well, no.
But I thought it was a kind of funny one to open with.
I get the 88 miles.
Yeah.
Then is the shit just because...
No, that's actually, he says that.
See?
Yeah.
I thought it was just all the manure that was going in.
Well, there is a lot
Biff's
of...
car.
Yeah, there's a lot of shits going on, surprisingly, for the film. So, as you may have gathered from the title, of course, that we are going to be talking about the Back to the Future trilogy.
Couldn't just suffice with the one, no?
Well, I was going to initially, but then I felt like, well, you kind of maybe sort of need to see the second one at least, and then...
You didn't need to do the third, come on.
I myself hadn't seen the third one, but no, shock horror that Sophie hasn't seen Back to the Future 1 or 2 before, up until now.
And you really didn't believe me that I hadn't seen it, and even my mum was like, what, you haven't seen it? And I'm like, no, I haven't seen it. And you were like, probably you've seen parts of it. And I'm like, I know there's a man that gets in, there's a car, and he goes back to the future, and there was probably a wacky scientist, and I went, and that's it. That's all I know.
Yeah, so again, it's not for Phoebe, it's probably one of those other things of like, you know, pop culture references in everything and TV shows and such. So I guess even like when I think of Rick and Morty, it's kind of based off that.
I actually prefer Rick and Morty, I think. If I'm completely honest. I enjoyed the first Back to the Future.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed the second.
Yep.
Then it was just too much now. It was like, okay, this is... I'm sick of watching the same thing now.
Okay.
There's literally just... it. I think maybe if we'd have done it like how, you know, in a cinema release.
Yeah.
Whereas this was like kind of over 2 days, really, wasn't it?
Yeah. So, interestingly enough, you kind of mentioned, I think, from when you said about like, oh, well, they must have filmed part 2 at the same time or something.
Yeah.
Part 1 was released in 1985, which is when the film is set, anyway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's fair enough then.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
But part 2 didn't come out until 1989. Part 3 came out in 1990. So there's a bit of a small gap between the first and the second one. I know we're kind of jumping ahead very much so, but do you think from the end of the first one that was a satisfying conclusion to how it ended? Obviously, kind of like that sort of like cliffhangery type of like, oh, there's something else here that's seems to be going to happen because they're going somewhere else.
Yeah, I kind of didn't really feel like they needed to tell me what was going to be happening in the second one and why.
To lead up to the second one, you mean at the end of the first one?
Yeah. I don't think I needed to know that. I'd have been happy with it just ending there and then being pleasantly surprised that there was going to be a Back to the Future 2.
Right.
Whereas this kind of makes it sound like it's part 1, part 2, part 3. It's not like
It's not like Lord of the Rings where it's kind of got like the obvious story of, well, they haven't gone to Mordor yet, so...
Yeah, and I think it's one of those where it's kind of already telling you the story. Like, even in the second one, it says to be continued, and it's just like, and then it's showing you half of the clip already before you even get to the third one.
I did find that a bit odd. It's almost like a TV series kind of way of doing that. Like it says to be continued, and then it could just left it there, but then it's like here's a clip of all the stuff that's going to be in, all the shenanigans that's going to be happening.
Which is strange for me, because I quite like to know everything, you know?
Yeah.
But actually, they gave me too much on this one, and I never think I would have said that. But it was like, it would have ended, anyone could have ended the way that it did, And I wouldn't even have thought, oh, there needs to be a second one. There needs to be a third one.
Mm-hmm.
I think they would have been fine with just one, really. Second one, yeah, it's good. And I get it. So that's fine. But I just think, well, really, did I need to know there was going to be a second one? Is that just like for merchandising and fan
service type? Just money grabbing.
Yeah, exactly. Just like kind of grabbing what they can, merchandising, fanning it out, and getting all the money in for it because it's really popular.
Mm.
I feel like that's what it is. It's like one of those, oh, this did really well the first time, so then we're going to do it again, like Home Alone. Then we're going to do it again, and then it's like, no more.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I actually got to a point of where it was like, I'm sick of seeing these people now. And I started to grow to like them. I got the relationship at the beginning, and it was like, yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk. So we'll go through the first one then, obviously, like how you sort of introduced to Marty McFly in this kind of like mysterious way. It's kind of like panning across in this lab with all these clocks and stuff and all this lab equipment going on, and then you kind of just seen from the perspective of a low shot of him walking through the room. So you're not seeing our like protagonist walking through.
Yeah.
And then you're kind of introduced to him as being like a little kid.
Which I was really surprised by. Because I didn't think I don't know. I thought he was like an adult. Like
he has, yeah. He's got that syndrome of like looking older than he should be. Really,
yeah,
for
I
the
think it's just like a
he's
short
playing.
man. Like literally, that's what I think it is. He's like he's just small, but
Right.
that's why you're like, oh, you've got a good height, but your face don't match the fact that you should be in school. So straight away, I was a little bit like, he goes to school? What is this? Because obviously I've seen him as a character going Back to the Future.
Right.
So I was aware that, but I thought he was like in his 20s or something.
Right. Okay. Yeah, okay. So you didn't know he was a high school student?
No, not one bit did I think that whatsoever.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, does it have to be like this, where it's like a teen, and you can have a little bit of a rom-com-y thing? And I'm like, do I really want this to be kind of going down this path? Yeah. But actually, it wasn't that bad. So I actually enjoyed it when they went, not Back to the Future, but obviously they went...
Back to the Past.
Back to the Past, yeah. Which actually I feel like that should be kind of more the title of the film.
Because they do go back to the future eventually. That's the whole crux of the...
They spend more time in the past than they do the future, to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
But I do enjoy it when they are in the 50s, so the 1955.
Yeah.
The feel of that is brilliant. I love the fact that he kind of gets to see his dad and his mum.
Yeah, get understanding, because he's, the typical teenager, like, oh, why are you having a go at me type of thing, and you kind of understanding, no, he's kind of like had a hard time all his life. George McFly.
And he kind of understands why and can kind of, I think, relate to him because he's seen it secondhand what's happening.
Yeah.
And obviously gets to meet his mum, which is a little bit weird because obviously she seems to then kind of get a crush on with him, which is a little bit sickly twisted, but not as bad as...
That was Old Boy that we just reviewed, yeah.
No, not half as bad.
Yeah, I didn't go that way, thank God.
So, you kind of get this character building and you really want the McFlys to do well, even though for a part of it, while I was watching this, McFly to me is banned.
Yeah, which I looked into that and that's what they got the name for the band, based on Marty McFly, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I couldn't, other than like the song, was it 5 Colours in Her Hair? I couldn't tell you another song they ever did. Can you?
I really want to say I know, but I'm thinking Busted. I think the year 3000 or something.
Yeah, that was Busted, but I think they did form like together or parts of the band, like Busted. They did a collab or something.
But I can name more Busted songs. Like that's what I go for school for. Yeah. I used to have a single of that.
I had the album of that. Yeah.
Are they American bands? They are, aren't they?
Busted are.
Is McFly not?
McFly are British.
Ah. So,
yeah. Incidentally, obviously, while we're talking bands, Marty is in like a band at school, and he's kind of wanting to play at this summer dance or whatever when he was back in his own time, But like, oh no, it's too loud.
Yeah.
I can't be playing that rock and roll music.
Even though there was a new kind of sound that he ends up creating at the end, doesn't he? Which kind of goes a little bit the same way. The audience are enjoying it for a bit, and then they're like, okay, we're not ready. We're not ready for this.
Yeah. So, you know Marty's like girlfriend, Jennifer?
Yeah. She looks old too.
Oh, do you actually...
Sorry, I've thrown you off there, didn't I?
Do you know who that character actually is? Like the actress, or what we've kind of seen her in?
Oh, don't do this to me. Is she?
It's not super obvious. I was kind of looking, thinking, you look really familiar, but I don't think you are who I think you are. But it's
she's obviously old now.
You know, Ali from Karate Kid, and obviously now the Cobra Kai series on TV.
Yeah. I'm trying to picture it in my head.
Yeah, but she's got brown hair in this. But
she looks pretty as Ali in. Was she younger?
Yeah, she will have been. Yeah, even though you just said she looks older.
Was she actually younger in this one, in Back to the Future, than she was in Karate Kid?
Ooh, now you're asking.
So I think she looked prettier in in Karate Kid.
Maybe it was the hair.
The hair was a little bit excessive, wasn't it? Let's be honest.
That's 80s style for you.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So, yeah, and what do you think of character Biff, anyway?
It's horrible.
Yeah,
I really enjoy him getting his upcoming, because obviously he's just so mean to George, and it's like, there's just no need to be like that in life. It doesn't get you anywhere, and everyone just thinks you're an absolute douche of a person.
Yeah.
It's like, there's just no need. Be nice. Gets you further. Or if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. That's what my mum would say.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, kind of just shut up and put up in a little bit of a sense.
Mm-hmm.
But he definitely deserves the shit in his car.
Yeah, that's good.
I love that. He definitely deserves the punch when George eventually plucks up the courage to punch him in the face.
Yeah.
Absolutely adore that. Because anyone who kind of is a little bit of a geek or a little bit not popular and outside of that kind of circle and getting a bit bullied, standing up for themselves is a massive thing. Yeah. So I quite enjoyed that.
Like, it's sort of, again, the underdog.
Yeah, always.
Story.
The British always go for the underdog. Mm-hmm. There was, though, one bit that I did write down, which was a scene of where Marty was in, he got knocked over by the car, which George should have been knocked over by.
Yeah.
Kind of messing up the whole idea of that then Marty be even born, because obviously they might not ever get together.
Yeah. And
the future can get a little bit kind of skew-whiffed then. But he obviously was having food there, and the fact that he said he had 2 TV sets, and this just kind of made me chuckle. Like, back then they'd just got this one TV set.
Yeah, that was a very luxury item, that was.
Yeah, and like now people are lucky, like people that have it in the bedrooms and stuff like that.
2 consoles or 2 computers, that kind of thing.
Yeah, or 3.
Yeah.
Depending on, yeah. So it was one of those things where it was quite funny. And I think they actually commented saying, you're teasing now. Kind of like, this is not realistic. We don't believe that anyone would have 2 TVs.
Yeah.
And now...
and how can this be a rerun? It's brand new to them.
Exactly.
It's all these things that you kind of forget about, well, that you have to take into consideration when you go back in time. Like, it's a...
Yeah, you have to be mindful of what you're saying. Also, keeping
like that's a normal thing we can just do.
Well, to be fair as well, we kind of haven't touched upon that at the moment. We think the Doctor's dead. Of how Marty actually gets
back to the past.
Yeah.
So he's Doc Brown. What do you think of him, by the way? Sorry.
I really like him in 1 and 2. In 3, he gets on my nerves.
Okay, right.
I feel like he kind of changes character for me.
Yeah.
1 and 2 is the quirky scientist, and he plays that role really well.
Yeah.
And he's got a really loving relationship towards Marty. He just wants the best for him, really.
Yeah.
And he kind of puts himself on a limb sometimes for him to kind of make sure because obviously he's a lot younger.
Yeah. To
make sure he's all right and his future's kind of going the way it should. Mm-hmm. In the 3rd one, What about you? What do you think?
About the third one, or just how his character?
His character in general, like, do you like it all the way through, or do you agree there's something a bit iffy in the third one?
Yeah, probably wouldn't see it, but no, his character overall is very iconic and kooky and weird, but it's kind of, that's the mad scientist trope, I guess.
Yeah.
Really, for what they're going for, but he's very lovable. And yeah, he does seem to take a shine to Marty. Is it Morty?
I thought you were going to say Morty. It's like
very on the nose almost.
Yeah, pretty much. He's not as crass as Rick, though, is he?
No.
Let's be honest. Which I'm kind of grateful for.
Even though you said you preferred Rick and Morty.
Oh, I do, because it makes me laugh more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
It does. And there's more violence in it. To
Yeah.
say it's a cartoon.
Yeah. And there's the violence, like I was just about to mention, about Doc Brown getting shot up by these, I guess, Arabs?
Yes.
In a minivan, yeah.
Yeah, which just seems really bizarre.
Just because I think he's stolen the plutonium or whatever to make the DeLorean run. And so this is how, that's really how he gets back to the past to escape.
Yeah,
and
he
then
doesn't realise he's going to
inevitably
He wasn't obviously listening to the doctor, because he would have known that he shouldn't go past or go as fast as 88 miles.
Mm-hmm. Any more on the first one?
Yeah, just jumping back to the mum. So obviously he's going on a date with his mum now to prom. And she's like parking. I didn't know that was a thing. I don't know if that's an American thing where you park and then make out or something, I'm guessing, and fool around.
Well, there's like spots, like make out points or something, isn't there? Like in American movies, let's go up to the secluded woods or whatever in the mountains.
And then get killed.
yeah. That's normally how that goes, yeah. But.
And then noticing his mum, she was drinking alcohol and she was smoking, and it was just a little bit like, wait, what? And then there's a line where she's like, when I have a child, I'm going to let him do whatever he wants, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of repeats itself in the second as well. Like, we wish you did.
Mm-hmm.
So I think really after the prom and after everything's kind of been corrected, obviously Marty goes back to get back to the
future, yeah.
Back to the future.
Sure. And because of the whole thing with his dad standing up to Biff and everything, as opposed to letting him walk all over him before, we presume. Mm-hmm. And that was why he's such a weakling and just a doormat in the first one. And as we saw him in the first instance, Marty's life is now completely changed. His dad's well off, and Biff is now like the buffer of the car and stuff, like he's essentially working for him rather than the other way round kind of thing. So it's kind of like, yes, it's a good turn of events for the whole family, because I'm guessing they were kind of struggling and stuff, and it just wasn't a happy home type of thing. But now it's kind of getting the comeuppance for the bad guys, and
I think that's the way it should be, really. So that was really good kind of ending until get a spanner in the works that there's going to be a part 2.
Yeah. The only other thing I'll mention about the first one is I don't really know what the thing is with that guy with those those crappy little 3D glasses.
Oh yeah,
that you get out of, like, magazines or whatever. Like what was that fashion accessory? Was that kind of?
God knows, he obviously thought he was cool, didn't he?
That made me laugh. It's like, come on, dude.
They did look a little bit weird, them. Yeah, 3 that were like kind of
these gang goons. Yeah. But, so then, like I say, that's I kind of, when I finished it, I felt like, well, no, we'll put on the second one, and because it kind of like follows in onto that, and that'll.
Well, to be fair, like 50% of it is already the first film, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Kind of just shot from different.
They don't need to make like a full film budget, because they're just repeating the same shots or the different angled shots that they haven't used in the previous film.
Seems that way, doesn't it?
It feels that way, yeah.
Yeah.
And I get it, you have to get the understanding. But the problem was, I'd just seen it.
Yeah, as opposed to waiting 4 years.
Yeah, I'd just seen the exact same thing happen. I'm just looking over somebody's shoulder. And I'm like, okay. That's the only problem with these Back to Future things, that we can repeat things. And it's...
Yeah, I mean, it does repeat a lot of things, like the gag of the Marty waking up in a dark room and his mum, or the mum figure, or whoever seems to be, oh, I had this weird dream, and it's like, and then it's like reveal of, she says something like to trigger him, like, what, it's this time of the day or year or whatever,
and that happens in the third as well.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that was getting a bit grinded on thing, and then certain other lines and stuff like, oh, we've heard this from the previous film, the first one, and it's kind of like, yeah, I don't know if that's really clever writing. It's kind of just trying to do the same gag.
I think they're just, I agree. It's like lazy. It's just doing, this worked.
Yeah.
So in 1985, so we'll just repeat it again and just cash in more money. I do like number 2 though, just for or part 2 or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, part 2. Yeah.
Just for the fact that, bless them, they're in 1989. So how many years is that? Let's think. So there's obviously 15 from 2000, and then 1 to be 1990. 90. And then there's like 10 years. So they thought when they made this film in 1989, 2015, 26 years ago, 26 years away
into the future,
that there would be flying cars. There isn't.
Yeah, still waiting on them.
We're in 2021 now, so it is even longer. That you would have these shoelaces that just decide to tie up for you automatically once you've, I don't know what, fastened it around your ankle.
Yeah.
And then these things that like clothes that just, I would love that, to be fair, because I'm short, my arms are short, so like if my coat could shrink its arms, that would be fantastic. You'd never have to buy a new coat again,
would you?
No. Yeah.
Unless it tore, but yeah.
Yeah, and then like my pants, like that'd be brilliant. And even then, what about a wedding dress? Like if it doesn't get tailored, do you just like press this button and it'll fit perfectly? That I do like, but still, that doesn't happen. We're in 2021 now. Still nobody has invented that.
No, and apparently there's Jaws 19s in the to 2015, so there's been that many Jaws films.
That is a bit horrific though, that bit. I felt for him then with that thing coming out of the building. It looked
shocking.
It did, but I still would be scared because obviously it's Jaws and we know my relationship with Jaws. I wouldn't want him coming at me at any angle. You don't understand how it feels, Paul.
No, I guess not.
No, you don't. No, you don't know. So then they're kind of having to get back to the future because they've got a problem with their son, which I don't know. I can't remember his name.
Marty's son.
Yeah.
It's just the lazy thing of Marty McFly Jr.
Oh, that is lazy.
Which is the laziest thing you could do for as a parent. Like,
or as a film writer.
Yeah.
I think he's even lazier as a film writer.
But just to have the things so he could be the same, to get the same actor to do the same job rather than just someone completely
different. He did
different.
a couple, didn't he? He even did something else in the third one. He was somebody else.
I know, we keep banging about the third one. Kind of like, we're getting there.
But I just think it was one of those where you do get to a point of where, with this one, it was really interesting. And don't get me wrong, the ending was a bit more gripping than...
Yeah, there's a lot more... It feels like there's a lot more stakes in this one because the fact that you've got to be careful with not to meet up with your past self.
Yes.
And all these events have still got to happen as they've happened to have the lifestyle that you had before, and those kind of things. And it's kind of...
Yeah, you're not wanting to anger somebody else and then meet up with your past self and rewrite something that hasn't happened. So you're trying to avoid everything. I think the first one for me, I did get to a little bit like, oh, come on, can we... That scene of trying to get them back to the future, it dragged a little bit after they were like, oh, the cables have come loose.
Oh, right, yeah.
All of this. I was like, oh, for goodness sake, just can we get back now? We know you're going to get back to the future because that's the title of the movie. Mm-hmm. So it's not like you wouldn't get back, is it? And it was just like, oh. But with this one, part 2, it was more gripping. I don't know if it's because they'd had a couple of more years to make it more refined, but it was more enjoyable.
Yeah.
To watch.
Refined despite the fact that they've kind of, like you said, used up some of the footage from prior.
That's why I think I enjoyed the ending more because I'd already seen the first part pretty much.
The ending of the first one is the beginning of the second one, sorry.
Well, there's a common theme going throughout, isn't there, really? To be fair,
yeah.
that happens in the third too.
Mm-hmm. So the obviously the main crux of this being the whole thing that Biff gets this sports almanac thing to know about all the scores and to
that's
bet.
Marty's fault. So if Marty had just decided to be greedy,
Greedy.
we wouldn't even have a movie.
Yeah, and also another annoying thing that did annoy me about him in this one, Marty, is which kind of didn't happen in the first one, weirdly. Which is surprised by.
Are you going to say what I think you're going to say?
What?
The C word.
Yes, the dreaded chicken.
That does get on my nerves. I'm not even going to lie.
Okay, good. I'm glad I'm not the only one on that. Because
Like-
that's like, just grow up, man. Just let it lie.
I don't even care what anyone thinks if I'm a chicken. If I don't want to do something, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah,
And I don't really care what other people
pride
think.
get in the way of things, and that's how half these fuck ups happen.
Yeah, he's getting himself into loads of little situations, and people know that that's like his trigger word.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't care. And it just don't be a chicken. Like, just you're actually being a chicken by doing what they say. That's how I interpret it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because you've been so easily manipulated like a chicken. You might as well just be in one of those farms, basically. Like, you're a sheep. You just follow him because somebody's, or like a bull to a red cloth thing. That's literally it.
Got some different farm animals there.
Yeah. Yeah. There was something, though, that I thought would have been really handy now in 2021.
Yeah.
I was going to say 2015. I wish I was in 2015. It was a better year. Don't know where what I might have been in uni, possibly, at that point. But life seemed simpler.
I think we were together by that point anyway, so.
Well, that's all right then.
Yeah.
Dry mode. When you get your clothes wet and then this thing just comes along. I've been in so many times where you've gone for the bus and the heavens just decide to open.
Yeah.
You know, when you're not privileged to have a car.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good little thing. Those hoverboards, though.
Oh, ridiculous.
I know obviously it's like they're trying to, with the special effects and stuff, make it look cool and stuff, but to be fair, they look pretty slow and a bit janky when they're trying to make them look like they're going like really fast and stuff, but they really weren't.
It was the way that they like one leg had to do loads of work. Like,
yeah.
it was like,
push.
And it's like you're not even looking like you're going any faster. You'd be better off on a skateboard.
Yeah.
The skateboard scene in the first one
was a lot better.
Yeah.
Because that's what, well, I guess it's what we know. But yeah, it's kind of like the limitations, because essentially it's almost like having the hoverboard on a string or something to kind of move it along almost.
Possibly,
I don't know.
True.
But I know what you mean. It's kind of like kicking like a scooter, basically. Almost like to get power boost, but
it'd be better off on roller skates or something.
Yeah, anyway. Yeah.
Also, we get to the point of where Biff gets shit in his car again.
That's at the end of that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a running gag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying. Biff isn't in the third one, is he?
No, it's one of his relatives. He's not called Biff or whatever in that one anyway.
Right.
But in the second one, he's kind of like, the world's gone bad in Hill Valley, basically.
Oh, I quite like that, actually.
It's kind of a twisted world, like the seedy, very dirgy Las Vegas vibes, really. Just like
don't bars on your windows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Hillsville, is it Hillsville?
Hill Valley.
Hill Valley,
Yeah.
Hillsville. Hill Valley is like a really rough area now, and all of that.
Yeah.
And this is obviously because Biff is now in charge. He marries Marty's mum.
Yeah.
And George dies, doesn't he? Sadly, because Biff murders him.
Yeah.
So it gets a little bit heavy.
Hit this heavy, Doc.
But it gets all corrected, obviously, and we have a happy ending in the end.
Mm-hmm.
And then they decide why to do a third one. Literally, my notes, just so you know, I've got about 2 pages on the first one, then kind of going on a page for the second one. I have got a line on the third one. I got so fed up. And it doesn't even make sense. I don't even know what I wrote.
Okay.
It says 1885 cowboy love, house shoe riding.
Cowboy love. This isn't Brokeback Mountain.
That's what it made me become at the end.
Right.
So thank you for that.
Welcome. So,
And I think I got to a point where I started writing hoverboard instead of hover.
Oh dear. Right. So, like I said, I hadn't seen number 3, so
I wish you had. I really wish you had, because I feel like you wouldn't have put me through it again. Like,
no, but I feel like
it
was the closure of it to, because like what have I what have I missed?
Nothing. You've missed nothing. There was no need for this film.
The only
the
only thing that it's obviously they kind of pepper in throughout the films anyway, which like the doc says, "Oh, I'd love to go back to the Old West," in like the first one, I think, and then they mention Biff's like great ancestor was one of the Mad Dog, whatever his name was,
and obviously the first American, McFly,
yeah, and all that kind of stuff. So, so those were mentioned throughout the first. So that's where that's like, well, here's a story we can go back to the. So they're thinking, well, instead of having just going back in time again to like those periods where we kind of know in the modern day, let's go back to the Old West. I guess they were trying to do something a bit different in terms of setting, locations, and all that kind of stuff. It's okay. I mean,
it's very gimmicky.
It's not like anything like, because you said you'd like to play Red Dead Redemption after seeing this. It'd be a bit more gripping than this.
Yeah.
A bit more raw and rough, but
which I just don't understand, like the idea behind it. Like the doctor, it's weird because obviously they know one another because he's the same doctor that he's his doctor. It's not like he's a future. Obviously, he wasn't born then, so obviously he's gone over to the future, to the God.
Time travel's confusing.
It's gone back, way back to when he wasn't even born.
Yeah.
Now my question is, will he die before he gets born again? Do you get me?
Don't know. Maybe they need to make another movie about it. I don't know. But
then, to be fair, he's not staying in that era, is he, for that long? Because then, in the end, he seems to somehow create... Which, there's a load of rubbish. Like, come on. The ending. What a load of absolute twaddle.
Yeah, we'll get to the end in due course. But we've got the break of character anyway with him. Like you mentioned before, like, he falls in love with this...
Clara
Clayton. That was her name.
Who should have died.
Yeah.
Off, because he saved her.
Yeah.
She should have died, and that was actually history, so...
But that's another thing, because, like, Marty says, like, oh, it's only that thing. How big of a thing could that have an effect? But it's like, I was waiting for something to, like, when they go back to thing, like, some major plot point, a change in their futures, but nothing, no. Because normally if you did something back in time, you crushed a butterfly or did something, picked up a pebble or something and took that back home, and you're like, oh, well, that's changed the course of...
Yeah. Anything you alter should change something.
But no, none of that, which kind of annoyed me a little with that. But she was just a bit... It didn't feel anything for her, really. She was just a bit annoying.
She was annoying, and
especially at the end part. But
she seemed to just crop up inconveniently, when not wanted. I felt like Marty was the third wheel.
Yeah, in this story, yeah.
But I felt his frustration as a character, like, can you just leave us alone? We've got a mission here to do, and you're literally messing it up now every step of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're just being a pain in the arse now.
Yeah.
Can you stop it? And it's like, is there any need for her? Like, does the Doctor need to fall in love? Because I feel like he's a different character in this one, and not in a good way.
Yeah. I mean, obviously everybody could do with having someone to fall in love with. That's not saying that you can't find love, but...
No, but you don't have to change who you are.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he changed completely, but he just became so insipid.
Yeah.
Like, be a man still. She liked you for who you were. Why do you have to be so insipid and, like, you've lost your marbles completely? Like, to what you think's correct now. Like, she's just skew whiffing it all.
Other things we have that are similar, it's slightly different because he's saying, instead of the C word of chicken, it's yellow.
I didn't understand that.
Meaning yellow-bellied.
Initially, yeah. I know the wording of yellow-bellied, but I didn't know yellow. I was like, why? What's he saying to me?
He's a Simpsons.
Yeah, it's like, I don't understand why he's just going, hey, you yellow. And I'm like, that would literally not trigger me whatsoever because, like, I don't know what you're on about.
Back in the day.
But yeah, again, he kind of, in the end, though, that kind of works out. He doesn't actually he kind of lets that go and realises that this taunting of saying, oh, you a chicken or yellow belly or anything like that is not actually serving him. So,
yeah.
And that kind of corrects his future.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously he gets fired in the second film, which that gets erased because of this act.
Yeah. So, yeah, and he meets his Marty's relatives, Seamus, McFly, and I guess that was sort of necessary in a way. I don't know, really, kind of just a way just to include the mother character back in again
to have that same scene again.
Yeah.
Yeah, possibly, but I do think it actually he helped in the end because obviously he was saying don't kind of retaliate. They're kind of that's what they want, and that actually helped with Marty's course in the future.
Yeah.
So I feel like it kind of did work somewhat. That wasn't the bit that annoyed me.
Yeah. So it's the end part then. So, just before that, the Doc has he hasn't even had a drink whiskey, and then he necks it down as he's about to leave, and then he kind of just immediately passes out.
It's ridiculous. I can have a sip and I'm all right. Like how?
Yeah, you screw your face up. You don't go. Ugh.
No, I'd screw my face up and say it's disgusting, but I wouldn't kind of just collapse on the floor. Like he must not be able to handle his alcohol.
Yeah.
But just to be kind of recapping on this, Marty comes back because he knows that the Doc dies.
Yeah.
He sees his gravestone.
Yeah.
So Marty's coming back and and I think this is the bit that really annoys me. Like Marty is coming back to rescue the Doctor. And in the end, I feel like the Doctor is so bloody ungrateful because of this woman. Like he couldn't care less.
No.
In the end, actually, then Marty could die because obviously he's stuck up to this
Mad Dog,
yeah. Biff character.
Yeah.
Because that's pretty much the same, isn't it? It's always the same thing, beating the drum.
Yeah, and that's another thing as well. You're like, hey, McFly, I told you never to come in here, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's always going into the cafe or saloon in this case.
So, kind of then poor Marty is put his life on the line for the Doc, and now he has to fight the Mad Dog. But obviously, the plan was they were going to be out of there before he even had to do anything about it.
Yeah.
But no. Because the Doctor thinks it's a good idea to say goodbye to Clara and have this kind of farewell thing. And she goes off a rocker with the excuse that he's given.
Yeah.
And obviously he's not there in time for Marty to get on the train and get all that sorted.
Yep.
And this then all prolongs this bloody ending that is just ridiculous and not thought out and not feasible. It's like, I just don't get any of it. And how's her horse that fast? So basically, she realises she loves him. They're trying to get on with the mission of the fact of getting back to where they belong. Back to the future.
Yeah.
Again. And this horse must have this is my argument. This train, they're shoving in God knows what to make it, really fast.
Yeah.
Why didn't they just do the horses then if it could catch the train? If one horse can catch up with that train and they're putting in so much fuel for it to... I know maybe it might have not picked up to its certain speed as of yet. It might have not been doing the 88 miles or whatever it needed to do.
Right.
But still, she would have never caught up with that train. I don't think a horse can catch up with the train.
But I wasn't going super fast at that point, though. It was still in maybe 25, 30 miles an hour before those things started.
Still... No, but then... Still don't think from all that distance when she... No.
Yeah, sure. I know she had a fair distance to go, but yeah.
It's not feasible.
Give the benefit of the doubt on this one for the sake of the story. And yeah, she kind of clambers on and goes like, oh, golly gosh, or something.
Yeah, she does, yeah. Oh, golly. I'm like, oh my God, just get off.
And
I
she's
actually wanted her to die on the train.
Yeah, she wasn't exactly... Making she was like, oh, this is scary and stuff, but she kind of almost like she had a smile on her face, like she wasn't really doing a great job acting, to be fair.
No, and she was just like, oh, like being a damsel in distress, and it's like
not a very convincing one, to be fair. And yeah, so she's kind of like what, almost like what are you doing here, kind of thing. We're supposed to be doing getting back to where we're supposed to be, and yet you're messing this up. So all this throughout, you were kind of saying, as we're getting to near the end, you were saying, she's going to go back with him.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's going to just like, because he kind of mentioned like, we'll just bring her back with us in the DeLorean.
Yeah.
And thing. I'm thinking, no, that's not going to happen. It's going to be the way I'd want it to have ended would have been like either it's kind of like just Marty goes back because of like it's too late because of circumstances that make him. He's in the car and Doc's not in the car at that point, or something like that.
Because it kind of leaves you thinking that that's what's happened initially, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Which annoys me because it's like, well, he came all the way back for you to bring you alive, and then you're not in the car with him because of this floozy that you've decided to rescue. Like that ending that annoyed me. I don't think I'd have wanted it to end that way for me personally. I'd have rather the Doc stayed there. Yeah,
that's what I was hoping that would have just happened.
But actually had the conversation with Marty and they both had agreed, and it not be a shock to Marty on the other side that the Doc isn't there.
Yeah.
If he's happy and he's in love, then that's fine.
That's fine.
That should have been left there.
Yeah, because then at that point, when Marty gets back to his own time, 1985, the DeLorean is destroyed by a train tram, whatever, and that's that. And you think that's that, and I would have been satisfied with that, how that ended.
Yes.
But no, then of course, the time train.
What the hell? Right, I have an issue with the time train. How? First of all, when he couldn't create it when they went back to 1985 and then 1955, so they created it in 1985, but they couldn't create it properly in the 1950s.
What you mean, all the 1850s?
So it's like, so how the hell have they created this train? What, like
science?
But how?
Science.
Like, not this train looks amazing. It's like, that is not available where you were. None of that is feasible. Unless the only argument would be, I can't believe I'm saying this. It's been 20 years for the Doctor and Clara, because obviously they've got children and everything.
Exactly, yeah. Well, it can't have been 20, because I don't know how the boys were, maybe like, would you say it's 5?
So, yeah.
7, maybe? I don't know.
So obviously technology's progressed and we've built this train, and it's like, still, no.
They don't really look much older for it, but, having 2 kids, they kind of look the same age.
The Doc is going to look the same now, isn't he, with time travel? Is he going to age?
You mean some sort of paradox where he'll never age because he's done it too many times? I don't know.
Yeah, whereas Clara, I don't, God knows. But I just feel like that should not be the ending.
Yeah, and it has the same sort of ending as the first one, where it kind of does the train lifts up and then it goes away and it comes to the screen.
And I'm like, please don't say part 4, because I will literally jump off a cliff.
Yeah, so that's pretty much...
That's my weekend, So lucky. Like, other girls go out, now that things are open, a little bit, we could have been a little bit wined and dined al fresco. No.
You will want that anyway.
I know what
so
we'll
I know
do.
what you're like.
We'll just plan a trilogy of Back to the Future.
Well, honestly, that wasn't the intention, really. I was just going with the first one. And
you still haven't finished all the Harry Potters yet, and I've watched 3 Back to the Futures in the space of like 24 hours.
But the Harry Potter films are a lot longer to watch than...
Stop making excuses, Mr. Parks.
We'll get around to them eventually. But...
I feel like we should at least review the last one.
I don't know how well that would work, really. But
you can tell who's got the pants in this one, can't you?
Yep.
It's obviously not me.
So, with that being said, we'll get to this individual scorings of them. So, you can do it as if, like, what's the least favourite? I think I know what the answer is. So then based on the scoring and then going up.
Least favourite is the third one.
Mm-hmm.
I would score that a 4.
Right, okay.
It really annoyed me.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what had been really good with the part 1 and part 2, leaving that last image in my head of part 3 really ruined the other ones for me. It was like, I really wish we hadn't watched it, because I really would, like, if somebody said, oh, have you seen Back to the Future? I'd have been like, oh, yeah, it's really good. And now I'm like, kind of, that's the bad's instilled more in my head than the good.
Mm-hmm.
Part 1 and Part 2. I did enjoy Part 2 actually more than Part 1, but obviously you can't have Part 2 without Part 1.
Yeah.
They go hand in hand.
Okay.
It makes more sense, like, that is a trilogy, part of a trilogy. Part 3 doesn't need to be.
Okay,
so then it wouldn't be a trilogy. Yeah. But 2, I think, just was a bit more gripping. It didn't annoy me at the end where it's like, okay, come on, we can literally.
Which didn't.
Number 2 didn't. It was more robust with the ending.
Oh, but at the very end, though, when it's like to be continued.
Oh no, I don't class that as the ending.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Right, that's what I was getting.
No,
at there,
like the closure of the film.
Yeah.
The to be continued, and then it shows you all the crap that Part 3 is. I don't really put that onto the film.
Okay.
In my head.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Part 1, I think there was a lot of faffing around and a lot of trying to make it building up, like, the wires and everything plugging in, and it just was like, this could be shorter. Like, and the suspense wasn't there for me.
Okay.
So I think I'd probably score Part 2. It's tricky because I'm thinking it's not much far from it. So I think it'd be like a 7.5 for Part 2 and 7 for Part 1. What about you?
I did kind of, despite the ending, the very end of the third one, didn't find the last one too irritating. It's not like a 4 worthy. I think.
Really? Would you watch it again?
Probably not for a while, but
I would never watch it again.
This one for a bit different, really, with the characters, but I'll put it as like 5.5. I think.
Okay.
Really, I don't think it's really like 6 worthy.
No,
but it's not really 5 worthy. That kind of puts it in the bad. Instead, like, this is kind of like
it just annoys me.
It's somewhat mediocre in comparison to the other 2, but it's kind of like a bit more than like, this isn't quite so bad. But
just don't watch it. That's my advice, everybody. Just don't watch it.
I feel like I'd say probably about the same scoring really for the 1 and 2.
I can't justify it being an 8.
No. Definitely, I'm going to say a 7.
Yeah.
On across the board for those 2, I think they work almost hand in hand in a sense. I know that we've kind of said, they're just repeating stuff in the second one particularly, but there's a lot more stakes going on. There's a lot more intrigue and stuff with how things go, and you kind of want, how's he going to get out of this situation and that kind of stuff. So there's that it's got going for it, and
there's a bit more flitting back and forth to the future, isn't there, with that one? So you get different paradoxes of different worlds and different outcomes, which
obviously the first one is very iconic, and that's where most of the quotes and everything comes from. Really, that everybody knows. I mean, for myself, I was kind of late coming into this anyway. I wasn't like probably the right sort of target age for when this was to be out. Was he wasn't born in 85 or anything? No, I didn't see this when I was 89. Well, I was obviously just been born, but but I mean,
I wasn't even an inkling.
But I didn't grow up with these films. I didn't see these probably until like uni years, to be fair. So.
Oh, okay, so not as late as me.
No.
To the party.
Yeah. Oh, you're quite late.
Always am, and this is the issue.
But I can see the value in them certainly for some people, like being a classic and stuff.
And I can imagine nostalgia would come into it as well.
Yeah,
highly
some
played.
People, yeah.
But no, I think 1 and 2, fine. 3, don't bother. It's like Home Alone, isn't it? 1 and 2, cracking. Home Alone 3.
But they've done more than.
Well, yeah.
Than 4, and I think there's another.
No, you just anyway, after they do that, you just stop.
But at least, to this film's credit, at least they kept most of the same characters in this third one. Whereas you get films like that, and it's like they just overhaul, like, oh well, we couldn't get this actor to come back, so it's now somebody else, or
taken too long in his age.
Yeah, something like that.
Dramatically. Yeah. So. Whereas there's good gaps with these.
Yeah.
That actually still looks similar aged. To the character who first played.
So there we have it.
Yeah. So thank you so much for listening to us. I hope you've enjoyed what we've had to say, and especially me getting annoyed. can we have something which doesn't bug me next week? Because, like, oh boy, I went with Back to the Future for lightheartedness.
Yeah, that's what I was.
And not to annoy me, but it still annoyed me. Maybe maybe I'm just like that. Maybe I'm a woman that just gets on the edge and gets annoyed.
Maybe you're not the true Tiger audience, perhaps, but.
Well, yeah, it was a bit of a comedy, wasn't it?
Yeah, to a degree.
We know what I'm like with comedies.
Yeah, but it's not like. It's obviously like more science fiction action.
Action?
Action in very light.
Like, no guns, really. There was a bit of a shooting bit, but not much. And yeah, no. And the third one could be a rom-com, I guess.
Western.
Western romance.
Very tame Western.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Westerns anyways, to be fair, so that didn't help matters.
There's better examples of Westerns.
I don't like Westerns, though.
You've seen the Magnificent Seven remake, though, haven't you?
Yeah, but you only convinced me because Chris Pratt was in that.
Mm.
That was like, oh, okay, I don't mind seeing him as a cowboy. But no, it just seems a bit too gritty, does a Western to me. Like, the history behind it just seems a little bit more grim.
It was.
I know it was, but that doesn't mean I want to see it.
Okay.
On that note.
Yeah, thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode. Be sure to leave us a nice little review on the Apple Podcasts. That really helps people find us and obviously gets our scores up.
And it's truly appreciated by us as well. It makes us day when we get a nice comment and realise that somebody actually values what we're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, you can also find us on Podbean and Spotify and wherever else you might get your podcasts from. Also, if you do like what we do in this show, then do please consider giving us a little donation on our Buy Me a Coffee page.
So how does this work? Do we actually get a coffee?
Then we get money towards buying ourselves a coffee.
I've seen this kind of happening. And I'm like, well, I don't want a coffee. Can somebody please buy me a hot chocolate? I know it's coming to this warmer weather, but I'd still drink it, especially if it had sprinkles on it. So is that all in our Instagram info of people if they want?
Yeah, it's in the details on the podcast listing. But yeah, it's also on our Linktree account, which is on our Instagram, Twitter, and all that stuff. So you can find all our social links there as well. But just to remind you, it is SP_filmviewers on Instagram and Twitter.
Brilliant. We'll post something probably as well on his Instagram stories so that if people need to kind of know where to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's it. Truly appreciate all your support and everything and for listening to us. And we will speak to you next time.
Speak to you next time. Take care now.
Bye.
Bye.